Welcome back to the program. So it looks like President Trump has finally, for the first time, called for regime change in Iran. Now, why is he doing this all of a sudden? Well, because I think he now knows the truth, that he's been lied to, that these so-called Arab allies of the United States are not our allies, they're our enemies pretending to be our allies, and they were feeding him bullshit and fake information, just as I said just the other day and got that message to him. Okay? That's number one. Number two, he understands that the rial is completely collapsed. He understands that the regime is weak. And he called Khomeini a, quote, sick man, and that Iran needs new leadership. This is what he said today. Okay? In an interview, U.S. President said, the best decision Iranian supreme leader ever made was not hanging political dissidents, calls Iran the worst place to live in the entire world. It's time to look for new leadership in Iran, Trump told Politico. The comments are the closest President Trump has come yet to calling for regime change in Iran, though he seemed direct in his ire in that interview at the supreme leader personally and not at the broader Islamic Republic system. Well, that's your first problem, President Trump. You should be pissed off, not just at the Ayatollah, but every single dirty, goat-humping cleric, every single mullah, and yes, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, okay? They should all be vaporized. Vaporized. Every single one of them. There should be no dust or any remnants of any of them at all. And we should be able to free 92.4 million people and do it immediately. Days earlier, President Trump had threatened to, quote, strike Iran if they killed protesters, urging the latter group to, quote, take over institutions and assure that help is on the way. Well, you know what, President Trump? That was pretty stupid of you to say help is on the way when so far you've refused to help these people. All that does is give mixed messages. And so what has happened? You didn't help. They lied to you. They went and continued to kill protesters. You hung your hat on this one little thing about no 800 executions in public. Meanwhile, they're killing thousands in private, not public. So I don't know where you're getting your information from, but it's certainly nowhere near as good as mine, okay? And I'll say that clearly. And so when you say help is on the way, and you just leave those poor people in Iran to suffer and die, the most horrific deaths, do you know that they are going into the hospitals in Tehran with guns and shotguns and killing people on gurneys and in beds that are already recovering? They're walking up to them and blowing their fucking heads off. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. I've seen images of it that I can't show right now. So what are you waiting for? If you're going to say help is on the way, send the fucking cavalry. Save these people's lives. Because if you don't do it, they don't have the firepower, they don't have the weaponry, they don't have the ability to fight back, even though they are bigger in numbers. So what? What are they going to do? They don't have firepower. Why do you think the foreign minister of Iran said yesterday that the protests are now under control? Because he's killed so many of them. And we just sat there with our dick in our hand and watched it happen. What, 4 Arab countries that probably secretly support the mullahs in Iran tell you not to do anything? Why? It's going to cause some kind of war? We just kicked the shit out of Iran in 12 days. You're going to listen to this bullshit bluffing from Qatar and UAE and whatever other countries? Give me a break. We could wipe this fucking regime off the face of the earth in a day or two. That's it. We don't even need Israel to do this. Why wait? Do it now. Otherwise, you're going to have 100,000 deaths in Iran by the end of the next 2 to 3 weeks. That is the rate that they are killing people. I don't understand this. Doesn't make any sense. His satisfaction with the regime's move on Friday suggested that his threat regarding protester deaths only referred to planned executions and not killings that reportedly are taking place during the regime's crackdown on the demonstrators now, where the death toll count was said to be even higher now than 12,000. Well, according to some of the sources that I have, it's already close to 20,000. It's like 18 or 19,000. Okay? So where do you think it's going to be 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 days from now? 25, 30,000? Think of how many lives are going to be snuffed out because of our inaction. Now, this isn't about nation building. This isn't about putting, troops on the ground. No, it's about doing what we did in Venezuela and liberating 28 million people. You are one away from liberating 92 million people. I don't understand why you are waiting. It makes no sense. In a speech broadcast to state television to mark a religious holiday, the scumbag Khomeini on Saturday said the protests, quote, had left several thousand people dead. The first indication from the Iranian leader of the extent of the casualties from the wave of protests that began on December 28th. Asked about the scope of potential military strikes in Iran, President Trump told Politico on Saturday, quote, the best decision Khomeini ever made was not hanging those 800 people a few days ago. Trump spoke to Politico shortly after Khomeini, who is 86, posted a series of tweets blaming the U.S. for the unrest in Iran. We find the U.S. president guilty due to the casualties, damage, and slander he inflicted upon the Iranian nation. See, this is what communists do. They pretend to be the victims, and this is why I hate leftists in America and around the world, because you're all so stupid that you believe the victims instead of the people that are the true victims, which are the Iranian people. That's why you dickskins out there that are screaming free Palestine, you have no idea what you're talking about. You want to free Palestine? As I said before, free Iran. Once you free Iran, you free Palestine. You free Syria. You free, all these other countries around the world, Iraq. You free all these terrorist nations, okay? You free the nations even around Russia that are obviously Muslim dominated. You free them all. You free Somalia. You free all of these countries, Sudan, so many of them, that are all getting their weaponry and their terrorist training and their sponsorship from Iran. Hezbollah, Hamas, Boko Haram, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, they are all in bed with the Iranian regime. Decapitation strike on Iran ends the world's state sponsor of terrorism. I don't get it. In order to keep the country functioning, even though that function is a very low level, the leadership needs to focus on running his country properly like I do with the United States and not killing people by the thousands in order to keep control. Look, I am getting really sick and tired of this peacenik bullshit from President Trump in a situation like this when there are literally thousands of people dying probably every single day in Iran. I don't understand it. Strike and kill. Strike and kill. Strike and kill. Wipe them out. Wipe out the mullahs. Wipe out the clerics. Wipe out the Iranian Revolutionary Guards. And yes, vaporize the Ayatollah. And do it now before more people perish under this horrible, evil, sadistic, sick regime. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Put them down in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.